We are very proud to be here as
So we are
ambassadors of Legal Creative.
Thank you, Paula. We are live streaming now again on YouTube Live on the Legal Creatives channel. And we are live from different countries at the same time. I am based in Canada, Paula is based in Portugal, and Marisa is live streaming from the Netherlands. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce you all to Paula Silva Lopes and Marisa. Marisa is your last name. Oops, I'm sorry, I just don't have it right now.
No problem, I tell you. Marisa Monteiro Borsboom.
Wonderful. Thank you, Marisa. And we will be having a session on law in a tech world. Marisa and Paula were attending the Web Summit this year. This is where we met. And we will be having a live discussion on those very important issues of technology and creativity in the legal work. So before we get started, would you like to introduce yourself to our participants?
Of course, Marisa, you start.
Yeah, so I'm also Portuguese, and there is the connection with Paula. And I came to the Netherlands around 7 years ago. And I was just a lawyer in Portugal, already dreaming of doing things in a different way. I never really understood why lawyers were so by the book, if I want to say that, because in my nature, I understand that lawyers should be exactly the opposite. When books are too tight and justice needs stretch and creativity, that should prevail. So when I came to the Netherlands, I understood that here they are more flexible, and that made me quite happy. And I also always thought that the English system was also a little bit different. So in a sense, I understood very early that we could really do things differently. It's just a matter of our own patterns, and we can change them. It's in our power to change them. So the Netherlands gave me that freedom of thinking, and I still do a lot of normal things. But then I met Paula, and she became my my fight partner, and we believe that we can do something better, that we can do, that we can really be creative, and with, like Paula says, changing the world a smile at a time.
Wonderful, Marisa. Thank you so much for presenting yourself to our live streamers and also everyone who will be watching the replay. Paula, do you want to introduce yourself to our audience as well?
Of course. My name is Paula Silva Lopes. I'm a lawyer in Portugal. I work with Marisa. We have clients all over the world. We try to view the law creative. We try to do the law creative. As persons, we want to do our mark in the world. We want to change the world so that our sons can have a better world. So that's what we are trying to do every day. We are trying to help our clients, and client by client, we are trying to change the world. To do that, we have to change our way to see the law. That's what we do. We see the law differently. We try to arrange solutions that go to the client and not the opposite. We don't apply the law to the client, we apply the client to the law. We try to change perspective. That's what we do. We change perspective, we think outside the box, we are creative, and we are also lawyers.
That's wonderful to hear about you, and I am sure that we'll be learning a lot from this live session. So I will be asking a few questions about your interest in technology, but mostly your interest in the Web Summit, because you have been attending the Web Summit that happened at the beginning of November in Lisbon, Portugal. So I'm very curious to know, Marisa and Paula, what got you interested into the Web Summit? Was it your first time? And what did you get out of it? Who wants to start?
I can
Marisa.
start because I'm the guilty one to take Paula with me. I kind of almost force her, but now she's totally a fan. But Yeah, like I say, when I came into the Netherlands, I was fortunate enough to live close to The Hague. That is the world capital of justice, but is also a hub, a technological hub. So I could go to events related to with startups in all different areas, not only technology, but many of them, of course, are related to technology. So I started getting very involved. I lived in Delft. Delft has a technical university known in all this world. And I could see the amazing things that were being done. First in the energy sector, then in the maritime. And then I started understanding more about issues like cybercrime and data protection. And so I got really, really involved, and I keep trying to know more. That's why I wanted to go to Web Summit, because it's like going to Rome and see the Pope. So this is also going to where this people meet and learn as much as you can. And I took Paula with me because I had the Women in Tech ticket, and I said, Paula, you cannot miss this. And Paula was already, of course, open to all the subjects, but I think after the Web Summit, she got the bug. So she's as in love as myself. And again, I think it's amazing to see as well the little evolutions. I call it little because in the justice sector, a lot of things are being done, but not enough. So in Portugal, I could see already the changings in the way you approach the courts. We start having a system. Things start getting a little bit more futuristic. But if you look to other areas of life, law is still a little bit in the back. So.
Yes, that's true. We need to get law forward. And by tech, we will be helping the law to be better and more accessible to everyone. That is very interesting because we have to understand, to me, as a person, I have to understand how things are made. And with tech, it's always a process. You have to start somewhere and go somewhere else. And that process is very interesting. And if you apply that to the law, you will arrange an enormous number of process that you can take them to your client and resolve the problem creatively. That's what we try to do.
Like, for instance, I was discussing with Paula a simple matter that in Portugal, for instance, is not approached yet. In most of the countries, you have big projects with contract management softwares. And, you know, we going to, and we can announce that, we're going to be hosting the first meeting of the International Association of Contract Management in Lisbon, and it's the first time in Portugal, while other countries use these softwares for many years already. You know, so even in small daily life routines, you can use technology to help you to better serve the projects, to better serve the clients. So yeah, we hope that we can even influence future softwares. And we work closely to our software provider, Philippe in Lisbon. So a lot to be done.
And so what were the 3 takeaways from the Web Summit that you would like to share with our audience? So other lawyers from across the world who are watching live right now on YouTube and who will be watching the replays, what are the 3 takeaways that you take from your experience as lawyers at the Web Summit?
Paula, you start.
Networking, outdoor, and legal creative.
I look forward to hear more about all of that. Legal creative as well. And Marisa, and then we'll go back to Paula explaining.
Well, you know, what I took from the Web Summit, first of all, was the fact that I met you, Tessa, and I could finally, in a very comfortable way, call myself a legal creative. I always used to say, yeah, I'm a lawyer, but I see myself much more as a creative. And I didn't allow myself to call creative because I didn't have any marketing degree or anything. So that was a big, important mark. The second was that I saw that the amount of lawyers there was really small, and that also gives a red flag. Because I think, I'm not sure, but someone told me that was 160 something in those 1,000 people that were there. So that worries me, and that shows that legal was not represented there. It's not something that they are still seeing, and I hope that change. And third, I understood that there's a lot of hope of the things we can create, but we are in an intersection. Mankind is an intersection. We need to really understand how we're going to build the next step and what mankind 2.0 is going to be. And technology and law and creativity will be a serious pillar to start.
And Paula, you mentioned networking, Al Gore, and legal creatives. Do you want to say a little more about?
I'm sorry, I stopped. I'm sorry, I stopped listening to Marisa a few seconds ago.
There might be a small delay in
I'm not listening.
Conversation. Do you want to share, Paula? You said you three things to take away from Web Summit. You mentioned networking, Al Gore, and legal creatives. Do you want to say more about those?
Yes, like Marisa, I felt at home. I felt with legal creatives that I could call myself a creative lawyer, because I felt that across the world there were more persons like me, lawyers, persons in law that were creative, that think outside the box. That was very important to me, to think that I'm not the only one in the world. I thought that I wasn't, because I have Marisa, and she's like me. She's my other me there in the Netherlands. So, but to know other people that has nothing to do with me and Marisa, that's very important. I felt connected with you instantly. I felt that we have a lot to do. We can change the world smile by smile, and we can help everyone to be better. That's what we do every day. We can help everyone to be better. And has networking, because I've met a lot of people from all kinds of areas, and they were all there because with tech. And that you have to understand, tech is so important. It changed the world, and it will continue changing the world. And we, as the users law degree, we have to use tech to change law, because law needs to be changed. Justice has to be achieved, and we have to use tech. We can use tech to do that. That's why it was very important to me to go to Web Summit, to understand that we have a lot to do. We are doing it, but we have a long way to go. But we are alone. We have other people with us doing the same path. And we are happy because we know we are not alone, and we will be changing the world all together, creatively. And Al Gore, because, come on, he said we could change the world. It was on our hands. So he was fabulous, and I love him. That's why.
And it's very interesting that you mentioned that as lawyers we can change the world, because I often say technologists are working the code for the tech, but lawyers are working the code for society. So by merging technology with legal, we can really, possibly, hopefully, and creatively create a new world, like Stephen Hawking said at the opening session of the Live Summit, to make sure we use technology wisely. And so my question to you would be, how do you see yourself overcoming those challenges that you mentioned in incorporating more creativity in your job, incorporating more technology as well in your practice? How do you see yourself overcoming challenges? And maybe how do you see this legal creative community helping you achieve that dream that you have?
Well, you know, I always kind of dislike the work of the office because I thought that so many times we were billing clients for things that were not really challenging. So I think what everybody is fearing, that we are going to lose our roles and our jobs. The fact that we can concentrate in the strategy, the interpretation, the more creative side of the legal thought, the philosophy of law itself, the purpose, the ratio, would allow us to really be lawyers and not technicians. Most of the times we do procedures that don't really need a lawyer anymore. I don't want to be mean, but they are very administrative procedures. And we need to start distinguish that. And I think technology will help you. Blockchain, smart contracts, all these big words that people are talking, big data, will help you for sure. You know, I remember one of my first appeals for the higher court that I told him that I told the court, if you don't really look to the person as the human element itself, then I don't need you. For many cases, a software where I put some numbers will give me a sentence. You know, you put the facts, you put the numbers, I give a sentence. I have a sentence. So I want us to start concentrating more and more in the human side of law and not the administration side of law. So I think it's a big opportunity for lawyers, be released of that pressure of and taking some time and having, like I say, more time to think and less time to do administration and research when you can have information accessible, easier, faster, more accurate, so we can benefit all from this. And of course we need to be careful. Like I say, data protection is now here. It will be a big challenge for lawyers. The cybercrime itself, can you imagine hacking a law firm? So many challenges come to our world, but technology can help us, and technology can represent big challenges. So better than anything, create awareness and stay tuned to everything that is happening and evolve with it.
Paula, anything you want to add to your hope for the future, and what are your expectations as well, maybe for this community to help you and for you to help other people who are involved in the legal profession and who want also to do this change?
I believe all the lawyers have to be open-minded, and that's missing. That's why tech isn't getting on lawyers' lives so easy. But now the times are changing, and I also believe we have a path to go and to introduce tech in law. And that's what we are doing every day. Because tech can facilitate our lives so much and can give us time to do other things, much more important in my view, to think, to help clients. So that's what Marisa said. We are humans. We want people to be taken care of on the sentence. We want people to matter. We want our clients to matter. That's what we want. But people first. And if we have more time, because Intech can help us having more time, we can put people first before the procedure. That's what we are trying to do with the tech. Tech will help us put people first.
We actually have a question from one of the live viewers about taking equity in startup for lawyers. Good idea, bad idea? What are your thoughts on that?
Tessa, can you repeat again?
The question, do you think lawyers should be able to take equity in startups that might want to work in technology in the legal field?
Yes. Why not?
Marisa?
I would like to ask the viewer why. What is the reason of his question?
So let's ask. He's gonna go back.
Does he have any equity tip to propose to us?
I don't know. We will ask Brandon Leon Gilda to answer that, clarify his question. In the meantime, anything you would like to invite the audience to take action? Any call to action you want to make on this live video for people, for the viewers who are listening to you and who are obviously also interested in those very challenging times and also very important times. So any call to action you would like to provide the viewers?
Well, from my personal side, I have the call for action in a sense of let's try to change the system, but in a more united way. I see a lot of projects and in different sectors, but there's not a solid body of change. And I think we need to work with the existing system. And what I see is that innovation now is kind of almost parallel to the existing system. You have the bar associations fighting startups. You have
all over the world
a kind of a conflict instead of sitting in the table and start working from within. It requires more patience, but I think it will be much more productive many times, because also a lot of the startups start with a lot of passion, but sometimes they do not see the real dangers of what they are doing. So I'm in the middle of a generation as well. I still feel the passion of the 20s, and I'm already starting my 40s, so I start becoming this annoying person saying, be careful. But I see, for instance, I'm going to participate in the innovation summit in the Innovation Institute for Justice in The Hague. And I always see the projects coming from outside of lawyers. Innovators are jurists or law students or even other persons that start these new projects. And I really think that lawyers should put in the table. They are the ones working in the courts. You should listen more to what are the difficulties, what are the challenges, what are the barriers, and also understand the lesson learned. We need to hear them as well. So my call for action is that a more united body of change, that we should see what is being done, promoted what works, and help each other to overcome the challenges of the ones who kind of not find their way, or they find the barriers of the bar associations. But talk with them.
So we had actually some clarifications about the questions on the live stream. Basically, the questions is about granting startup access to, quote, the best lawyers and legal advice. Is it feasible for lawyers to offer equity? Is it feasible for startups to offer equity in the company for legal services? That might be a big question for a live talk right now. If you have any ideas, you feel free to share. If not, we can continue this very, very important topic in the community.
Yeah, I think like you say, the question itself could be a program on its own. So
it has a lot to be said.
I don't think we can fairly. It's not something that you can say yes or no with a smile.
But basically, I believe the viewer wants to ask if he can offers equity, and the lawyer offers their service. Is more or less that probably what he's saying. I don't know if I understood well the question, but as Marisa said, it should have a program at himself to answer all that because of the implications and responsibilities and all associated with that.
So I think we will have to continue those conversations in the online community. Marisa and Paula, I believe Paula, you are already inside the community. And Marisa will be probably joining us to continue those conversations. Feel free to introduce yourself in the general channel in the community, so all of the participants that want to connect with you, ask more questions, can identify you in a very easy manner. And yes, Marisa?
Can I just finish something? Because I cannot go without answer just a little bit, because the question is I'm not saying it's not a good question, but for the person who did it, let me tell you something. Lately, startups / big companies show that risks are so many times in big companies. Let's talk about Uber, let's talk about Deloitte, let's talk about Equifax, and they have the best of the best, isn't it? So what is the best? The best is the person that put every single drop of energy of their body to find a solution. And it's nothing to do with being big firms or startups. So putting the value of lawyers in their age or in their nationality, or, you know, if you are a startup, your value cannot be the same as Baker and McKenzie, pardon my reference. No, that's not the measure. I can even say that a good lawyer is the one who was born one. It's in your soul as well. So for the equity part, risks are everywhere, not in startups.
Thank you so much, Marisa. I think it's a great way to conclude this presentation. I really want to thank you so much for coming here live from the Netherlands and from Portugal for this live global event by Legal Creatives. It was my absolute pleasure to have you, and I really look forward to continuing those conversations with you in the community and with other members as well. I will be talking about how to join the online community at the closing session, so feel free to join at the end of this global live event. So we will talk very soon, Marisa and Paula. Thank you again.
Yes,
and have a good evening.
Yes, for having us.
Thank you for having us.